Hi there, Richard Fulmer here, and welcome to episode 102 of Richard's Rock Rambles. So we're still having a look at second albums from bands, and today's band was formed by the guy who was tired of his previous band. He'd been with that band from the beginning, talking about Ritchie Blackmore and the band Deep Purple. So the last two albums he did with Purple in the 70s was Not Come Taste the Band, Burn and Stormbringer, and they both featured Glenn Hughes on bass. Now what Glenn Hughes had done, he was taking Purple into a slightly different direction, and I don't think it sat well with Mr. Blackmore. You know, he had a different idea for what he wanted to do, and he wasn't too happy with the whole funk direction that Purple was going in. For me, it was fine. I really enjoyed those two albums, plus the one that came out afterwards, Come Taste the Band, when Tommy Bolin was in the band. So anyway, he decided, that's it, I'm out of here, left the band, and formed his own band called Rainbow, who would go on to huge things, become really popular, perhaps even as popular as Deep Purple, and it didn't last as long, but yeah, still made some big waves. And he needed a band, obviously. And one of the bands that he'd seen during his time with Purple was the band Elf, who had a singer in one, Ronnie James Dio, had an incredible voice, great stage presence. So what did he do? He nabbed him, plus pretty much the whole of Elf, Ronnie's band, to form the first lineup of Rainbow. The first album was okay. I think it suffered a bit from production. Wasn't that great, the production. I didn't think, didn't have enough oomph. There were some great songs on there that would go on to become staples for the Rainbow concerts. And this is the album that I'm talking about. Ritchie Blackmore's Rainbow. Just in case anybody wasn't sure whose band it was, he decided to put his name in the front, which, yeah. But that was Ritchie. You know, he always did things his own way, right? He has done right throughout his career. And that's the back shot. There's Ritchie with his trademark Strat. And there's a very young Ronnie James Dio. So in the band at that time, it was Ritchie Blackmore guitar, obviously, Ronnie James Dio vocals, Gary Driscoll on drums, Craig Gruber on bass, and Mickey Lee Soul on piano, mellotron, clavinet, and organ. So those are the other guys from the band Elf. Some of the big tracks on here: Man on the Silver Mountain, Catch the Rainbow, The Temple of the King, 16th Century Greensleeves, very much what Ritchie was wanting to do, get back almost into medieval kind of sounding on the guitar, very classic orientated, and that's not what Purple was doing at the time. And Still I'm Sad. Not a bad album, but like I said, wasn't that fantastic. Cheers. So, that was the debut album. Did okay. Then would come an album that for me is the highlight of the Rainbow discography. The second album, called Rainbow Rising, with a great cover, the whole new band. What Ritchie did was he chucked out everybody except for Ronnie James Dio, and he got new guys in, and the new guys, I think, formed the backbone of that band, and they really gave it a lot more power, and I'll tell you why in a second. So the second album was recorded at the Musicland Studios in Munich in Germany. Rainbow were always very big in Germany, and that was in February 1976, and it was released on the 15th of May in 76 on the Polydor label, and was produced by none other than that great producer Martin Birch, who'd already worked on some of the Deep Purple albums. Great producer, no longer with us, sadly. For me, probably one of the top two producers in rock of all time. So in the band, you had Ronnie James Dio on lead vocals. Now this is where it gets interesting. Ritchie Blackmore on guitar, obviously. Tony Carey came in on keyboards, and he would last for this studio album and a great live album called On Stage. And he would also get his Hevo. You know, that's the thing with Blackmore. He changed people all the time. But this lineup for me was the strongest. Then you had a guy called Jimmy Bain on bass and Cozy Powell on drums. For me, he was the missing link in that band. A really strong, powerful drummer. Linked up well with Jimmy Bain. So you had a great rhythm section. Previously played with Jeff Beck. Very much in the mold of a John Bonham. Very powerful drummer. I mean, you can see this guy when he used to drum. He put everything into it. He never held back. He would, of course, go on to join Black Sabbath and White Snake and Michael Schenker and Emerson, Lake and Powell and, yeah, a whole bunch of bands. Sadly, also no longer around, had a car accident some time back. He was very fond of speed, motorbikes and things, and that was his undoing. On this album, they also had the Munich Philharmonic Orchestra, and that features on that epic track called Stargazer. And this album went gold in the UK. I'm kind of surprised it didn't go platinum, didn't go any further, but hey, who knows? So that was the lineup. Like I said, really strong. And this is the album that would really crack it for Rainbow. It's an outstanding album. It's probably, for me, the birth of power metal. You can easily call it that, especially with some of the up-tempo tracks here. And how's that for a great cover? That fist coming out of the water holding that rainbow. It's just iconic album by Rainbow. And at the back, I don't know if you can see how well you can see that. Who's at the top there? That's Tony Carey. That's Ronnie James Dio. Sorry about the glare. That's Jimmy Bain at the bottom there. And Cozy Powell and Richie Blackmore over there. Sorry, it's not a great picture. See if there's anything inside, because this is a remastered. There is a deluxe version of this, which is a double disc, which I don't have. I think that came out in 2011. This is just a normal remastered. There we go. That's a better shot of the band. So right at the top there's Cozy Powell. In the middle there is Ronnie James Dio. There's Mr. Blackmore, the slightly dodgy hairdo. Tony Carey, and there's Jimmy Bain. Excellent band. And they just brought something different to the band. You know, the first album, it didn't grab you. It was parts of it was very, I don't know if it was because of the production or the guys in the band, but they just didn't have the same oomph as this lineup. So the songs, the all-important songs, starts off with Tarot Woman, and straight away you can hear, this is Cozy Powell on drums. You know, there's no fiddling around here. This is in-your-face stuff. Great keyboard work from Tony Carey. I really liked his style. Excellent guitar work, obviously, from Blackmore. And the other missing link, Ronnie James Dio. On the first album, he was good. On this album, he's amazing. Excuse me, I'm talking too much, so I need to wet the whistle. Then we go into the second track, Run with the Wolf. Also, great up-tempo rocker. Then we get to the really classics of this album. The first one being Starstruck. Amazing lyrics. That's the other thing about Ronnie James Dio. He could write incredible lyrics, and he would go on to do so for Black Sabbath and for his own band Dio. Very much in the sort of sword and sorcery mode, singing about rainbows and gypsies and queens and kings and that kind of thing, which was kind of the vein of the day. But Starstruck, big hit off this album. Then track 4, Do You Close Your Eyes? And the other epic, the one that featured the orchestra, called Stargazer. That's all 8 minutes and 26 seconds of it. Such a beautiful track. It's got about 4 different parts to it. Just incredible drumming from Cozy. Great lyrics from Ronnie. And the guitar work is stellar. I mean, this is Blackmore firing on all cylinders. And I don't think he'd sounded as good as he did on here previously, probably on maybe parts of Burn, or the earlier Purple, like Machine Head. You can hear he'd found his mojo with this album. And then the last track, there's only 6 tracks on the album, so it's not an incredibly long album, but there's no duds on here. I mean, everything grabs your attention straight away. The last track is A Light in the Black, and that's another 8 minutes. So there's fairly lengthy tracks on here. What have you got here? 2 at 8. The shortest is about 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Yeah, but just a fantastic album. Well produced by Martin Birch. You can't go wrong with his style. You know, if I think about some of the other bands that he's produced, if you think about Iron Maiden, and if you listen to the stuff produced by Kevin Shirley, and the earlier Maiden produced by Birch, very different styles. I enjoy them both, but I tend to lean more towards Martin Birch's style of producing. Just the sound was amazing. He had a stamp on it. And that's definitely what you get with this album. This would go on to probably be most people's favorite Rainbow. trying to think, Long Live Rock and Roll, that came out after this. Also had a lineup change with Bob Daisley coming in on bass. That was also not a bad album, really good. Some iconic tracks on here, but Stargazer, Starstruck, Do You Close Your Eyes, A Light. Every track on here is killer. So if you don't have this, do yourselves a favor and get hold of it. If you're new to Rainbow, this is a great place to start. If you don't have this in your collection and you are a collector, boy, you're missing out. This is this is the number one. So there we go, Rainbow's Rising. Have yourselves a great week, guys. Please, if you haven't done so yet, down below, give me a good old thumbs up. And any comments, more than welcome. If you haven't subscribed, just hit that button and subscribe. Have yourselves a great week. Take it easy out there, and I'll catch you guys soon. Cheers.